Being the quickest production Volvo ever, there's one thing I wanted to test out because I'm a bit of a bogan, but will it do a donut? This is Volvo's new entry-level model, the EX30. It's fully electric and it's available in two main forms in Australia. There's the two-wheel drive or the rear-wheel drive, offering up to 200 kilowatts, and the twin motor performance with 315 kilowatts, and all-wheel drive. I like the design Volvo has gone for. It's very clean and kind of muscular from the back. It almost looks like a WRC car, if you squint your eyes a bit. Here we're looking at the twin motor performance variant, but it's hard to spot the difference, which is a bit of a downside in my opinion. It'd be nice if Volvo separated the models a little bit in terms of the design. Underneath you'll find the SEA2 platform, Sustainable Experience Architecture 2, developed by Volvo's parent company Geely in China. It's also shared with the Smart 1 and the new Zeekr X, which are both made in China and will be offered in Australia soon. Likewise, the EX30 is made in China as well. The twin motor performance does get these 20-inch alloy wheels wearing 245/40 tyres, compared with the 19s on the rear-wheel drive version, with 245/45 tyres. Inside, the two variants are pretty much identical. Very clean design once again, suave Swedish theme, with very little physical controls apart from the indicator stalks. I find it a little bit annoying that there isn't a dedicated start button, because as soon as you get off the seat, the car thinks you're getting out, and that means if you've got any of the safety systems configured, they're all reset and you have to do it all again. It is very spacious and practical in here for its size. Looking at the outside, you wouldn't think that you'd fit 4 adults, full-size adults in here, but you actually can, and there's a surprising amount of storage. There's no center console, or not in a traditional sense anyway, but again that means more storage and the sense of spaciousness. Even in the back you've got decent legroom and headroom. The roof kind of extends further at the back, it doesn't swoop down like one of those coupe SUVs. Boot space isn't all that impressive compared with some rivals, rated at 318 litres. This expands to 904 litres with the seats folded down. There is some underfloor storage though for the cables, and then up front you can open the bonnet and there is a little bit of extra storage there as well. I mean, it's not much, but it's something. Some EVs don't offer any extra space under the front, even though there's no engine there. Let's head out now for a POV test drive of the twin motor variant, as well as the rear-wheel drive version a bit later on. Being the quickest production Volvo ever, there's one thing I wanted to test out because I'm a bit of a bogan, but will it do a donut? So I'm going to try in this empty car park here. We'll turn the stability control, put it into performance all-wheel drive mode. Turn off ESC. And I'll just basically floor it and hook the steering and just see how fail-safe it is, I guess, because 315 kilowatts is a lot of power. And if you don't have too much experience driving performance machines like this, 3.6 seconds 0 to 100 claim, you want to make sure that it's still pretty safe. So I'll see if it spins around. I don't think it will, but let's see what happens. It's floored. Floored. Nah. Floored. Nah. That's pretty good. So even with the stability control completely turned off, I'm in performance mode. That was with the accelerator pedal nailed to the floor. It won't actually lose control or lose traction even. It just grips up and keeps going, even with my accelerator pushed all the way to the floor. Obviously, being able to do donuts is not an important criteria for most buyers, but for me, it tells me something about the safety, which is important. A lot of these small EVs or small to medium EVs are popping up these days that are relatively affordable yet extremely quick. So this offers a 0 to 100 claim of 3.6 seconds. Before electric vehicles came along, you needed to spend around $200,000 or $300,000 to achieve those sorts of acceleration figures. Whereas now, $60,000, $70,000, that's relatively affordable for a premium new vehicle buyer. And I think the problem is we're going to see a lot of these on the road in the future where they're just very, very quick, but they're in the hands of, perhaps people that don't have that much experience. At least with supercars back, 20 years ago or whatever, not many people could afford those. So there weren't that many on the road. So just by a factor of dilution,
these newer vehicles are going to be more popular. There's going to be more of them on the road. And I think safety is very, very important. And it's good to see this is, or it seems, extremely safe. The suspension is a little bit soft in my opinion for a vehicle that does 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds anyway. But for the general public, I think it's really good. It's very absorbent. On a road like this, it's got lots of bumps. It can just catch all of the bumps and the vehicle remains very planted and confident. And then when I put my foot down, it goes really good. Even at ridiculous points of the corner, it just hangs on. If I were to drive like this, that is a bit of an idiot, you know, back 20 years ago, in a vehicle that could do 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds, I'd be off into the trees pretty quickly, you know, whereas this is remaining very solid and sure-footed, full throttle. It just grips up and goes around the corner. And I think the softer suspension is helping with that. It means the wheels can drop down into bumps and they're not upset by bumps either when you're catching the bump, the wheels pushing upwards. It's got plenty of travel there. At full throttle, it goes really, really quickly. And yet it seems very playful. I'm not intimidated by this vehicle at all. I love the visibility in this thing too. Like, it feels like you're sitting right at the front of the vehicle. And if you look on the outside, the wheels are pushed right into the corners of the vehicle. So there's very short overhangs. And as anyone that knows race cars and so on will tell you, that's a great recipe for good handling, because it means there's no unsprung mass sitting over the front axle or over the back axle. But yeah, definitely lots of fun to drive. Obviously there's no noise, but it is very, very capable. I'm amazed how capable these things are. Like, full throttle, round the corner. It's just gripping up and propelling me, shooting me out of the corner. And that's in performance mode with ESC completely turned off too. You can just floor it and it remains very manageable, very secure. It's coming into this tight S-bend, floor it. Again, back off, back on. It's like a remote control car. That's the best way to describe it. And I don't mean just from being electric. I mean just the way that it just points and goes exactly where you want it to go. It's really amazing. I can't imagine a petrol vehicle handling like this, especially with the response. It's just immediate response. As soon as you put your foot down, it's going straight away. And that means it gives you a lot of precision when you're driving. So you can come around corners, you know, and apply a little bit of power, and you know you're going to get exactly whatever you move your foot. So if you want 50% power, it'll give you that straight away too. It's not, you don't have to wait for the engine to rev. You don't have to wait to put it in the right gear. It just goes straight away. And I think that does bring about kind of a new type of driving enthusiast, I guess. It's not as engaging, I don't think, overall, but that is a level of engagement, having that response and adjustment available. That was full power. I could hear that front wheel just like scrambling for traction, but it still held on and it didn't upset the balance of the vehicle at all. I'd love to see Volvo do a proper performance version of this actually, like sport suspension, cool wheels. Are going to be awesome.
Yeah, we also tested the single motor extended range Ultra model. This is rear wheel drive, but it's basically the same vehicle. You get almost the same features inside as well. Interestingly though, you're not actually saving all that much money by going with this rear wheel drive version. The price difference between the twin motor and this extended range single motor is only about 4 or 5 grand. And the range is quite similar too, with 460 for the twin motor and 480 for this extended range single motor.
In the base model, look, it's obviously not as quick, but it's still very punchy. Throttle response is instantaneous, basically, especially compared with a petrol model. So you still getting zippy acceleration around in the city and so on. It feels fast most of the time. It's just the top end isn't quite as strong. Basically the same vehicle inside though. It's very peaceful and relaxing. The minimalist theme is carried over. So there's no buttons in here, which I find a little bit annoying. Old school drivers might find that a little bit annoying, but tech geeks and so on that love this sort of stuff, yeah, will really like this. And I like the way you can pretty much do everything by saying, hey, I won't say it because it will trigger it, but hey, the biggest search engine in the world, basically. And just say, you know, adjust temperature to 25 or whatever, it'll do it straight away. So you don't need to actually touch any buttons or engage with the screen if you don't want to, you just talk to it. The ride comfort and handling feels pretty much identical to the all-wheel drive model. So you're not actually missing out on all that much aside from the epic power and acceleration. I didn't bother doing the 0 to 100 test on this one because I think everyone wants to see the all-wheel drive performance model, but it feels like it does what Volvo claims across 0 to 100.